good evening and welcome to April's monthly make launch. Now it is slightly different because we're not live, but I still wanted us to get this set up and launched so that we can be sharing our lovely makes using this stamp set. So, well, these stamp sets, shall we say. So, should we have a look at what's in April's monthly make? And this month's monthly make is called Let's Fly because it's a hot air balloon using some of those lovely Darling Dora and Starlight stamps that we launched the other week. So let's have a look. You've got, as always, you get your little leaflet, and on the back you get a step-by-step. You get your big stamp set. Again, doesn't really do it justice. If I whip that over, you can see it is a really good size stamp. Just fits on your 6x6s, perfect for your 5x7s and your larger cards too. And then with it you get two sentiments, I can't read them back to front. So sending you bright and happy wishes and blown away by your kindness. You've then also got the little bits to decoupage in to your image as well, and then you've got a little mini firework there as well. So there's that stamp set. And of course this will work with the Darling Dora and Starlights that we launched over the Easter weekend. You also get your landscape set, so you've got mountains and trees and some clouds in there. Again, if I turn that over, you can see the size of those stamps. Now just be careful when you come to take these off your carrier sheet, because I've tried to add as much as I can into here, so they are just a little bit locked together there. So just gently take them off your sheet, or just snip those apart when you come to take them off that carrier sheet. So yeah, we've got our mountains, we've got our clouds and our trees, perfect for masking and building those scenes. And then of course you always get your 10% discount card as well. So there you go, you get your landscape, your hot air balloon, your leaflet and your little discount card. So as we always say, stamp sets don't really show us what they are capable of. Let me pop these down. We want to see some samples too, don't we? So I'm going to start off with the big one because it's there. So there we go. As always, I have done my calendar for April, and you can see I've just done a splodgy background, used the same two colours to then colour in my hot air balloon, and I've used my marker pens then for the flowers to make them pop. So if I just lift that up, you can see by using those markers our flowers really do stand out a little bit more than our hot air balloon. So it's just mixing up our mediums to make sure our flowers stand out. There's that one. We also have our hot air balloon flying away, so sending you bright and happy wishes with a landscape scene behind. So great way to create a background using this stamp set. I've just created it half the size of my 8x8, and then we have got some lovely decoupaged flowers there as well. Next up we have super simple. So if, like me, you're not so good at colouring, you don't have to. This one I have literally used one colour and just added highlights to our balloon. So think about a sympathy card or a thinking of you card where you don't want too much colour, or if you're in a bit of a rush, this is a great one to do. Simply stamp it and add one colour, and then if I just lift it up, there you go, you can just see I've just added that little shade of blue to it there. Next up we have got a bit of a splodgy one for you. So again, I've used a splodgy background. We've got our little firework in the background there, and then we've got our balloon stamped and then coloured using our background colours, and then again just marker pens to colour them in. Oh no, I did it the other way around. I seem to always do these purple and pink. I think they just look stunning, don't they? And then I've just used that extra flower just to highlight my saying. Next up, who says you always need to add the balloon? This one I've just created a scene, just laid it up using our landscape set. So you can see that just masked over our trees at the bottom, added our mountains, and then a couple of clouds. Reminds me of being sat in a forest somewhere, staring up at the mountains. There you go, and it says sending you bright and happy wishes. And then finally, this is the step-by-step that is included in the leaflet. So we've just got our balloon there. Again, I've used the colours from the background to colour in my balloon, and then marker pens to colour in those lovely, lovely flowers. And then we've got that sentiment on there, blown away by your kindness. And again, just because it's a 5x7 card and we've got a really, really big stamp, it doesn't look too much. I've just chopped it out, and again, it's really easy to cut out because we've got that doodly edge. But even though it's a 5x7, I've still managed to fit on our balloon and my sentiment. So those, I'm going to quickly just pop them back on my desk. I do love that landscape. Just super simple. And a splodgy background. Super simple one there. And then we have all of our stamps there using our landscape and our butterfly, our hot air balloon. And then just to recap, in your set you get the hot air balloon and the landscape. I will admit I did push myself a bit this month because you know I'm not that patient to colour and paint, but I have had great fun using this stamp set. So shall we make a card? And I think we are going to make this one. So to start off, I'm going to ink up my balloon and get it stamped onto a piece of card because I want to do all my colouring on that first. And just remember, this is a really big image, so take your time, ink it up properly and give it a real good press. Because I'm using VersaFine Clear and I'm going to be using a lot of water, I need to get this image dry. And I've decided as well I want to decoupage those flowers, so I'm just going to stamp those two little flowers to go with them, so our Darling Dora and Starlight. And of course they need to be dried as well before we can do any painting. So I've decided I'm going to use Brush-O for this, but before I do anything else I'm going to chop this piece of card down because it's just too big to fit on my desk. So I'm going to start by painting my balloon and then work my way forward up into my flowers. So I've just popped a little bit of Brush-O on my desk with some water, and then I'm going to slowly build up my colours, so starting with a real pale base first, and then just adding a little bit more each time to get that definition and depth. See, I've got that pale base down, and now I'm just going to start going back where I would have a little bit of shadow and shading with a bit more of the darker pink. So between each of my colours I will dry this as well, just because I don't want those colours running into each other. So I'm going to go in with yellow for that centre panel on my balloon. And doing exactly the same again. Nice subtle base layer, and then start building up the colour.
And you can see when you make a mistake with brush out, you just add a bit more water and it soon takes that colour away. So again, each layer is dried and then we go on to our next colour. So I'm going to work on the basket next. So it's time to start on our flowers. So I'm going to start with the foliage and with the lovely green. And finally, it's the turn of our flowers, our beautiful Dora and Starlight. And don't forget as well to make sure you colour in those little extra flowers for our decoupage. And finally, it's Dora's turn to be painted. Now obviously I've speeded up this painting. In honesty, it probably took me about 20 to 30 minutes to paint the whole balloon. So now that's dry, it's time to cut it out, and I'm going to start with the centre of that balloon because that's going to be my most fiddly bit to do, and I'd rather have more card to hold on to. And even though it looks complicated, it really isn't. If I can fussy cut this, anybody can. And just like that, everything's cut out. So we're going to get into a routine here. We're going to stamp and then create a mask, because every layer and every stamp we do is going to need a mask. So I've just got some little sticky notes that I'm going to cut round and then stick over my image. But what I'm going to do is make sure I just give it a quick dry as well, because I don't want any inky pinkies anywhere. So we've got our first layer there, our tree, and then I've got my mask, which I'm just going to place over the top of that tree, making sure it all lines up neatly. There you go. And now it's time to stamp another tree in our forest. So I'm going to take the other tree in the set and just stamp that behind this tree. But again, I'm going to stamp it, and then I'm going to stamp another image on my sticky notes. So every layer we're just adding our masks and building our scene up. And I'm doing everything I can to keep my desk nice and tidy, which is a bit of a shock, isn't it? You can see we've got our mask on there. We just need to mask off our other tree. Now I could have probably just used one of the background trees for this, but I wasn't quite sure where I was going, so I just find it easier to mask up every layer as we go. So there you go, we've got our forest. We're now going to get our snow-covered mountains. And again, you've got to think what's in front. And so I'm going to go for the shorter mountain, and then I'll add in the taller one. And again, stamp it, make a mask. Then we want our nice tall mountain. There's snow on the top. So I'm just going to add 2 more little mountains in there as well. And this time I've not made a mask because I'm going to start with my clouds. So I've gone with the big cloud first, and then I'm going to add some little clouds too. And now looking at them, they look like they're smiling, those little clouds, don't they? Might have to make some funny faces out of them. So I'm just going to move that mask because I want to put a cloud behind that mountain. So there you go. And then of course tidy up my desk because I've got lots and lots of ink everywhere. And then it's time for the big reveal. How cool does that look? So I'm going to dry that with my heat gun because we're going to add some more brusho to colour this in. But only very, very, very subtle. Here we go, and then I'm just going to grab, see how amazing that looks. So I'm just going to grab my brusho and we'll get colouring this in. And I want the colours to stay quite subtle this time, so they don't really interfere with that balloon. We still want the balloon to stand out. So I'm going to start off with my trees, then my mountains, then my sky, and then finally my clouds. So there's our forest done. We're now onto our mountains. And I am using really pale colours for this. So I'm using lots and lots of water and less brusho pigment. Just add in some splodges in to make it look like it's a rugged mountain. And now it's the turn of our sky. We want beautiful blue skies, don't we, if we're going to be flying away in our hot air balloon. Obviously we're flying away in a good way, not, you know, being taken off by the wind somewhere on a windy day. And then finally I need to do those clouds and our snow-capped mountains, so I'm just going to use some Distress Oxide for this. Just popping a little bit of colour onto our clouds and then onto our snow peaks. And that's it, so let's just get it dry and then we can start assembling our card. So I've just got a blue backing sheet to put this onto, so I'm going to just use some glue to map this onto my card. So this piece is half the size of my 8-inch card, so I'm just going to stick it onto my base card now. And that would look quite a nice card by itself, wouldn't it, if we just added a sentiment to it. But we're going to add our balloon as well. But before I add our balloon, I want to make sure I can get a sentiment on there. So I'm just going to move everything out of the way, and then we're going to pop our sentiment on. I'm just going to pop it down in this bottom corner. So I'm going to stamp that with some black ink once I'm happy with the placement. So I'm going to stamp this directly onto my card. And now it's time to stick our balloon on. So I'm going to use some foam pads for this. And finally we need to stick our little flowers on and just decoupage them up. And there you go, final touches. We just want some gel pen in the centre of those flowers on their little stamens. And there you have it, a finished card using April's monthly make set. I do hope you enjoyed that. Do take care, stay safe, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks for watching, bye for now.